Judy Malinowski found herself in the middle of an altercation with her on-again, off-again boyfriend when she was suddenly doused with gasoline and set on fire. The 31-year-old, engulfed in flames behind a gas station in Gehenna, a Columbus suburb, miraculously survived. The 2015 attack left 90% of her body covered in 3rd or 4th degree burns. In these images, a human tragedy unfolds. A disturbing mystery is unraveling. Footage reveals why a woman caught fire at an Ohio Speedway gas station. Just moments earlier, a black pickup truck is seen speeding into the parking lot. A man in a red sweater jumps out. Notice the woman standing in the shadows on the left. They appear to be arguing, before the woman backs away and throws a soda at the man. The video continues. The camera catches the man throwing something at the woman. Now pay attention to the next part. The man's claim is that he leaned over to light her a cigarette, claiming it was an accident. But notice that the man slowly backs away as the woman catches fire. He does not look surprised or frightened. The truth is that the woman is being victimized. But for now, no one knows if the woman will survive. On August 2, 2015, 31-year-old Judy Malinowski was at a Speedway gas station in Columbus, Ohio, with her then-boyfriend Michael Slager. At exactly 17:08, Judy was doused with gasoline and set on fire. Minutes later, she was rushed to Ohio University Wexner Medical Center, where she fell into a coma.
Malinowski's mom. And I remember thinking, what a strange question. And they said, this was the hospital and we have your daughter, that I should come now.
On August 2, 2015, Judy Malinowski, then 31 years old, was with her ex-boyfriend Michael Slager at a Speedway gas station in Columbus, Ohio. Unaware of what was about to happen to her, she got into an argument with Slager. At exactly 5:08 p.m., Judy was doused with gasoline and set on fire. Minutes later, she was rushed to Ohio University Wexner Medical Center, where she fell into a coma from the burns. I've seen a lot of burns of that magnitude. I've seen a lot of survivors. Stacy Best, Judy's intensive care nurse, said,
Judy was my firstborn. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was the happiest time of my life. And she was just my best friend.
Judy's mother Bonnie arrives at the hospital worried and has no idea what has happened to her daughter. All she knows is that she has been burned and needs to be put on life support. Once at the hospital, with the help of a nurse, she makes her way to the trauma department. But Bonnie takes a wrong turn as she makes her way to Judy's bedside.
I went past Michael's room. I went in there and I was like, Michael, where is Judy? I'll never forget it. He looked at me and he said, it was an accident, it was an accident.
Bonnie doesn't understand why there are police officers around Michael's bed, but before she can ask any questions, she is dragged out of the room by one of the officers. When Bonnie finally gets to her daughter Judy, she is shocked at the situation her daughter is in, and no one can be prepared for it.
I remember I just started screaming, tell me there's hope, tell me there's hope, tell me there's hope. And they wouldn't tell me there was hope. They wouldn't say anything.
Judy Malinowski, 31 years old, had been burned over 80% of her body. Her whole body, including her face, was unrecognizable. There is an equation based on the age of the patient and the percentage of burns. In Judy's case, she was 31 years old and about 80% burned, which meant she had a 110% mortality rate. While Judy lies in a coma, barely clinging to life, Michael Slager sits on a bed just a few feet away, with burns on his hands. The story he tells the police raises questions about what really happened. According to Michael, Judy had filled the truck with gasoline and accidentally spilled gasoline on herself. Michael then went to light a cigarette for her, and it suddenly caught fire. His story makes it seem like an accident, and according to experts, without Judy's testimony, Michael seems innocent.
We have an equation which is based on the patient's age and percent burn. In Judy's case, she was 31 and approximately 80% burned, so that made her like 110% mortality.
At the investigator's request, Judy is taken out of her artificial coma, which means she will feel pain again. When she wakes up, the nurse asks, "Are you in pain right now? They're going to ask you a few questions about what happened. Is that okay with you?" Her mother tells Judy to calm down. The detective leans over to talk to Judy. The detective is not even sure if Judy can hear him. The detective asks Judy if she spilled gasoline on herself. Judy answers no. When he asks if Mike spilled the gasoline, Judy says yes. Judy nods twice, showing clear signs that she can hear and understand the people around her. With his answer, the police had the information they needed to continue their investigation, and the police said they were going to arrest Michael. Michael asked the police officer if he was under arrest and what he was being charged with. You will be charged with assault with intent and aggravated arson, the police said. What Michael Slager didn't know was that the police had seized critical evidence.
Assault and aggravated arson.
The whole scene was recorded by a nearby ATM machine, and the investigators all saw the footage. The policeman said to Mike, "Mike, let me tell you straight. Mike, okay? We saw exactly what happened. We saw him pour gasoline over his head. He stumbled to the ground. You bent down and you set him on fire. We saw what happened. We know what happened. Mike, this is what he said. It's not what it looks like. We were arguing. He threw a soda at me and then we started talking back and forth. You know, he came in and spit in my face and I said, 'Oh, here, you know, you want to ruin my stuff?' Well, I said, 'Here, I'll ruin your clothes.' It wasn't to burn it or anything like that. You know what I mean? Okay, it was just to ruin his clothes." He had given several explanations of how the gasoline got on Judy, and then the conversation went something like this. "Okay, I did it. I panicked. I lied about it. I shouldn't have. But she took her sweatshirt off, and it didn't even occur to me that there might still be gasoline in there." Michael testified alongside his attorney. Michael was rescued by his attorney, while doctors were doing their best to save Judy. In most cases, burn victims like her don't live more than a few days. Yet Judy clung to life as months went by, undergoing endless surgeries. Because she hadn't lost consciousness, her mother didn't know if she would ever wake up. Judy was loving towards everyone. According to her mother, all Judy wanted was to live a simple life, have 2 children, and share a home with a loving husband. Judy became a mother herself when she was 21, but she was still waiting for that loving husband. As scary as it sounds, the police were actually waiting for Judy to die so they could charge Mr. Slager with murder. And then one day they got a call that she was awake. Against all odds, Judy woke up from her coma, but she was confused and terrified. She didn't know what had happened after the fire. It had to be explained to her that Mr. Slager was in prison. Judy was so compassionate that she felt really bad for the man who had done this to her, for Mike at that point. Judy was worried about Michael, yes, but she was also scared of what he could achieve. Michael, yes, but she was also scared of what he could achieve. But what she didn't know was that Michael had no remorse for what he had done and no concern for Judy's well-being. Just 4 months earlier, in April 2015, Michael confessed his love for Judy. Judy met Michael through a group of friends, but she didn't know who he really was, even though Mike had a lot of crimes he was involved in. In the following months, Judy discovers the true nature of Michael Slager when he starts physically abusing her. But even though Judy tries to leave him and run away, Michael always finds a way to bring him back. Judy had called her mother when he strangled her before, and she was really scared. She hid in hotels. She left her own house. Judy called the police several times during the relationship to tell them that she was being abused by her boyfriend. What Judy didn't know was that Michael would always report her to the police when something happened, trying to protect himself and painting the picture of a worried boyfriend to the cops. He knows what he's doing. It was spring 2016 when Judy woke up in the hospital. For the first time since the attack, Judy's daughters would see her, along with her siblings. They knew the shock, and yet they couldn't believe it. You can't believe they told you who she was. Although Bunny was thrilled that her daughter was finally waking up, Judy's struggle would only get worse. December 2016, the trial began. With Judy still alive, Michael was only charged with aggravated arson and aggravated assault, yet he continued to claim it was an accident. Judy knew there was more to the story, but for now the defense feels that Judy cannot testify in this case, so they plead not guilty. Without her testimony, Michael was likely to escape justice. And then, Judy's situation improved. If Judy dies, Michael will be charged with murder, and her testimony will be recorded as evidence against him.
By asking you your name.
Judith Ann Malinowski.
Do you know how many surgeries you've had?
Over 50.
And you're aware that you have coded 7 times, correct?
Yes.
You understand the prognosis is not good, correct?
No.
But you're fighting against it, right?
Yes.
The judge sentenced him to 11 years in prison. The maximum sentence for Michael pouring gasoline on her and setting her on fire was 11 years, which is very similar to the maximum sentence for setting a car on fire. More than a year has passed since the attack, and Judy is still fighting for her life every day. Michael's sentence comes as a shock to Judy, who feels she has not received the justice she deserves. She may not last much longer, but her daughters are the only thing keeping her going.
She had no idea who he really was.
He has theft, aggravated menacing, assault, aggravated menacing, domestic violence, assault, domestic violence, assault, domestic violence.
Judy, unfortunately, passed away in 2017 due to severe injuries, and he left behind 2 daughters. Before her death, she recorded video testimony from her hospital bed describing the attack and advocating for Slager's prosecution for attempted murder. Judy's hospital bed testimony was used in court a year after her death. Slager was sentenced to death, but Judy showed her compassion even from the grave. Addressing the judge in the video, the young woman said she did not want the murderer to be executed for his crime, but to spend the rest of his life in prison. Following Judy's death, Ohio law was changed to allow the testimony of a victim of domestic violence to be used as evidence in criminal prosecution, even if the victim is no longer alive. Judy not only made history with her posthumous testimony, her story and advocacy also helped pass a state law that added up to 6 years in prison for offenders who assault and disfigure victims with flammable substances like gasoline. Legislators unanimously passed Judy's law. It was signed by the governor the same week as Judy's funeral. In the presence of her 2 daughters, Judy Malinowski's story has once again exposed the terrible consequences of domestic violence. It has sparked a debate about how victims of such acts are treated by the law.
Doused with gasoline and set on fire. She will never get the chance to testify against her ex in court.
And the judge sentenced him to 11 years in jail.
The maximum sentence Michael could receive for dousing her in gasoline and lighting her on fire was 11 years, which is very similar to the penalty you would receive for lighting a car on fire.
Judy has a life sentence, and her children have a life sentence, and with domestic violence, it's ugly, it's cruel.
Mrs. Bowes was correct when she said this girl has a life sentence. And you've done it, and you haven't been sorry. You've done all the things that really show what a despicable individual you are. You really do seem like one of those people that have no soul, and you need to be incarcerated. That's all I have to say. Take him out.
I can't. It's not fair. It's so hard when he just isn't even remorseful for anything. I don't mean to break down, I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard to stay strong, but it's just so hard.
To make it and to live, to fight for every other woman that had been through something like that. And she was willing to do whatever she needed to do to help change the law.
Judy's law would increase the maximum sentence for intentionally disfiguring someone by up to 20 years. It's named after Judy Malinowski, who is still fighting to stay alive after being set on fire a year and a half ago.
The law would not be retroactive, meaning it won't have any impact on her case. Still, Judy continues to fight for other survivors of domestic violence.
Doctors say they really have no medical explanation as to how she is still alive, but Judy's mom, Bonnie Bowes, says she believes that Judy is fighting to see Judy's law through to the very end.
All Judy wanted to do was help people. She fought so hard to help people and for justice.
This is a miracle that she survived that with her spirit intact, her will to want to help other people intact. I just think her body was giving out before her spirit.
It hurts so bad. I don't want to do it. I have to.
As a mother, you know your child, where was her limitation? Could she do this, even though her intentions were good?
Judy Malinowski will be allowed to testify about her own death in the trial of her accused killer.
The case that's drawn national attention.
This would be the first time that a victim was allowed to testify from the grave in a murder case.
She said, "Mom, I know I haven't endured this much pain in vain."
Tell me your name and then you're ready to testify.
Hi, my name is Judith Malinowski, and I'm ready to testify on Thursday.
All right.
I think
Malinowski's mom, Bonnie Bowes, told me in an interview Tuesday her daughter's body can't take much more.
So they asked me to sign these papers, and I said, no, I will not sign these hospice papers. She said, Mom, I will. And she put an X. And I know Judy, because Judy would have normally tried to do a J, and she just put an X in the end of it. said, okay, Judy, I'll hold your hand until Jesus takes the other.
Could you please raise your right hand to the extent that you possibly can? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this deposition will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to God or under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you.
Now, Sunday, August 2nd, 2015. Do you recall that day?
August 2nd, 2015. Yes, I do.
So when you were with Mr. Slager, you indicated that the two of you stopped at Speedway. What did you stop there for?
To get cigarettes. We were arguing back and forth. Either one of us were very happy with each other.
While he went inside, you got out of the truck and went behind that Speedway. What happened as you stood behind that Speedway?
Mike came in a matter of no time at all around in his truck. He saw me and immediately slammed the truck in the park, got out, demanded that I got into the truck with him, called me all sorts of names. We argued for a good 5 to 10 minutes, and then I threw my pop on him.
You threw a pop on him?
Yes. He was extremely upset. He ran around to the other side of his truck, and he got his cans of gasoline that he had kept in the back of his truck. He ran around to me and started pouring gasoline, started up my head and worked his way down. Some got in my throat as he did that.
What's his demeanor as he's pouring the gasoline on you?
Evil, just completely evil. He's not responding to any of my cries for help. Like, you want to throw a pop on me? See what I'll do to you, bitch. And how do you like this? I looked at him and he pulled a lighter out of his pocket and he started walking towards me. And I just remember crying and begging for help. And he let me on fire, and the look in his eyes went back, literally. I thought for sure I was dying. I just prayed to Jesus to please forgive me for my sins and to take care of my children. And
did you at any time produce a cigarette and ask for a light?
No.
Okay. A matter of fact, did you have any cigarettes on you?
No.
Judy